Welcome to episode 4 of the Rust programming language series. In this episode, we're going to create an application that uses the if-else expressions. And for this episode, you need to have Rust and a text editor installed on your computer. And if you haven't watched my previous episodes on Rust, I'd suggest that you go do that now. Alright, so the application that we're going to create will let you know if your variable is larger or smaller than 30. So, as usual, start off by opening your terminal. Navigate to the folder where you store your Rust files. For me, that's in documents/Rust. And in there, we're going to use Cargo to create a new project. So I'm going to name mine Cargo. I'm going to name mine episode 4, and don't forget the bin tag. So now that that's created, open up your favorite text editor. I use Visual Studio Code and navigate to your new project. So episode 4. Alright, so we're going to focus on the main.rust file and the source directory. So you can remove this print line statement, and as you guys know, we always start off with commenting our code. So what is this application supposed to do? Well, this application will let you know if your variable is larger or smaller than 30. So how do we do this? Well, we start off by declaring a variable. So let number be equal to 30. And this is where the if-else expressions are going to come in. So to use the if expression, all you have to write is if, then your variable and your condition. So for me, variable and then condition. So for me, that's going to be if number is larger, and this is this symbol that you use for larger. If number is larger than 30, then do this. Else, do that. Alright, so what do we want to do if our number is larger than 30? Well, we're going to use the print line. So print line, and then the number is larger than 30. And don't forget the semicolon. And otherwise, we're going to write the number is smaller than 30. Alright, so this might look a bit useless in the beginning, but trust me, you need to have your if-else expressions on lockdown before you get serious about programming, because it's one of the foundations in programming, and in the future it's going to be very useful for you. Alright, so save that code, go back to your terminal, go into your new project, so change directory into episode 4, and then cargo run to compile and run your application. So as you can see, the number is smaller than 30, but we gotta go back to our code. But as you can see, the number is not smaller than 30, the number is 30. So if you want to use more conditions in your if-else expressions, you can use what's called an else if. Alright, so to use the else if, you also need your variable and then your condition. So for this example, we're going to use else if number is equal to, and I hope you guys can spot the difference between assigning an integer to a variable and between checking if a variable is a value. So if you want to check, you use 2 equal symbols, and if you want to assign, you only use 1. So else if number is equal to 30, we're going to print a line that says the number is 30. All right. So what you guys might not think about is that we also have to change our comment up here, because that's not what our function does anymore. Now what our application does is checks if our variable is larger, comma, smaller, or equal to 30. So now our comment reads, application will let you know if your variable is larger, smaller, or equal to 30. And that's an accurate description of what our application actually does. So save this, go back into the terminal, recompile, and rerun. And as you can see, this now reads the number is 30. So that concludes this episode, but I want you guys to try different things with the if-else expressions before moving on to the next episode, to really make sure that you guys understand them and understand how to use them. One example would be to change the value of the number variable. So good luck and happy coding.